Hola, 'tis I, Alicia. I hope you're good, hope you're well. And here's what we're going to look at today. So, if you're a youngin', maybe you don't know who Casey Kasem is. Casey Kasem used to have this radio show, back in the day when people listened to radio and not Spotify or Sirius or whatever they listened to. And he did his America's Top 40. And he always had his little saying, like something like, keep your feet on the ground, but always reach for the stars, something to that effect. And he was the voice of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Anyhow, so he was like a big deal back in the day. You would always listen to his American Top 40. You always heard him. You knew his voice instantly. He always seemed like a really nice guy. Well then, this is when we go down to sad times when you become a success and your family's a bunch of vultures, allegedly, for entertainment purposes. So I forgot about this story, and then I was watching a 48 Hours, and they were doing an interview with his wife at the time of his passing. That was Jean, and his daughters, and they were battle royale over Casey. So here's what happened. In 2007, at the age of 75, Casey Kasem, was diagnosed with Parkinson's-like disease called Lewy body dementia. And he had an estate valued between 80 and 100 million in 2007. So, if who knows what that'd be worth now, like $10 or something. So around the time he gets diagnosed, Jean, his wife, claims that his children were just focused on getting access to Casey's money, getting control of Casey to get control of his money. That's when Jean says everything started where his children were after her. Now, Jean had a daughter with Casey, and I don't think she was very old at the time, maybe 10, 11, something like that. So she's not involved in this. But Jean says that this started where 2007, Casey Kasem's children lured him to a UPS store in Bel Air and tried to get him to sign over a durable power of attorney so that they could be in charge of his health care in the future. Okay. Which, I don't know. So far, this doesn't seem like an issue, because if this was my dad had gone off and married some other woman that wasn't my mom, then I'd probably do the same. That's my blood. I want to protect my blood. Just saying. My opinion. So around after this, it says in 2012, Jean says Casey got fed up with the children and he cut them off financially. No more for you. No more money for you, so she said. In 2013, Casey's health starts declining. And there's these legal squabbles going on between Jean and the children. Jean wasn't allowing the children to come see Casey. She was like, oh, they're going to do something to him. I have to protect Casey. The police were called to do welfare checks. The children held demonstrations outside the home because they're not allowed to see Casey, and so they're upset. So then Jean, at some point, moves Casey into a I don't know if it's a hospice or like a 24-hour care health center type thing. And Jean puts him there under a fake name so the children aren't going to find out where their dad is. In 2014, the children, I guess, figure out where he is and they gain access to where their dad is. And Jean's concerned they're just after his money and they just want to get custody of their dad so then they could have access to his money. So then May 7th at 2:30 in the morning, Jean goes into this facility where Casey is, and she gets him disconnected from his surgically implanted nutrition tube and an IV and checks him out of this facility and sticks him in a black SUV and whisks him off to somewhere, destination unknown. And so no one knew where Casey Kasem was. So this is a big story. Oh my gosh, where in the world has Casey Kasem gone? Nobody's heard from him. So the kids, his kids, get a detective, private eye. They find out Jean whisked him off to Vegas for some time, but by the time they got there, not there anymore. And then they got a tip that Casey Kasem's up at this like nondescript house in Washington State. And he's up there with Jean and her friend, And they're supposedly taking care of Casey Kasem in this house, to give him some peace and quiet from those, pestering kids. And so then the children, they call the Adult Protective Services, and sheriff's deputies come to check on Casey. June 1st, Carrie Kasem, she arrives at this house in Washington with a court order to pick up her dad and take him to a hospital. And there was all sorts of drama trying to get Casey out of the house. And I think after they get Casey into the ambulance and they're driving him away, then Jean comes out and she's throwing meat at the daughter. And something about, like, for the dogs. I don't know. Throwing meat. Never occurred to me. Okay, so the daughter, Carrie, she dodged the meat. And she gets in the ambulance with her dad, and they go to a local hospital where there's a doctor standing by. When he gets to the hospital, Casey's diagnosis is grim. He has all sorts of things going wrong with him. He has a stage 3 ulcer on his back, and that's where the wound goes all the way to the bone. Horrible. Within days, the doctors diagnosed that he has septic shock, respiratory failure, lung infection, and a bunch of other things wrong with him. So then on June 6th, the Casey's kids notified Jean that Casey's, like, going to pass, and if you want to come over to say your goodbyes. Jean claims that she and her daughter, that is Casey's kid as well, they're only given a few minutes to say goodbye to Casey. And the kids said no, they had as much time as they wanted. And then Jean's like, well, I felt like they were going to do something. So they're just having drama back and forth. Then I guess Jean flies back to LA. She's trying to regain control of Casey. I guess almost a week later, a little close to that, June 15th, 2014, Casey Kasem passes away. He's 82. Jean claims that it's his kid's fault that Casey passed. Kids claim it's Jean's fault that Casey passed. But at this point, then, Jean, because she was married to Casey, she has control of his body. And she takes his body from Washington State and she flies it up to Montreal. And Casey Kasem's body stays on ice for a few weeks. Then Jean flies him to Norway and buries him. Apparently, Casey's kid said he had no connection in Norway. Makes no sense. Jean said she can't disclose why, because there was legal battles going on of why she put him in Norway. Don't know. So after this, both sides are suing each other for wrongful death. And then in December 2019, they settle and agreed to an undisclosed settlement. And my. So let's see. Did Casey Kasem, zoinks, did he cut off his children financially in 2012? That's what it seems to be that Jean had alleged. That Casey Kasem's so tired of these money-grubbing children, he cut them off. No more, you dogs. So Casey cut his children off in 2012. I don't know that he cut them off all the way. Maybe he made a change in how much they got. Or maybe he hid how he was doing this. It's obvious, like, he's trying to strike a balance between his wife and the kids. It looks like the wife's like kind of this, big factor in his life. And it looks like he weighs his options and he wants to, be a part of the kids, and he's not really looking for this fight. So I don't see like, oh, you're done, I've cut you off. So if he was still giving them some type of assistance, maybe Gene didn't know about it. Maybe he was giving less, but it doesn't look like he's like, no money for you. I don't get that at all here. So maybe he just told her that, and I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? So, did Gene block the kids? Like, what's the situation from seeing their dad? What's up with Gene and the blocking of the kids from seeing their dad? I'm okay. So there's definitely a fight. My goodness, that looks twisted. There's definitely a fight going on here, and it's definitely, if I don't know if there's some type of idea, or there was a legal document in place, or she was working on a legal document to block them from seeing. There's this idea that Gene's in charge. Gene's the godfather over here, and she wants to fight. She doesn't like this drama with them. I'm wondering though if she like said, well, you can visit him from 2:30 to 2:34 on a Tuesday. Maybe it feels like there's some type of very specific way that she would be open, but it's not like she's opening the door. I think she's definitely pushing them back and feeling like she's winning against the kids. And there's this whole idea that she's doing this for giving Casey peace. So she's assuming like, oh, Casey can't handle the stress of his children. They're just horrible. What did Casey feel about his children? Was Casey like, yeah, keep those meddling kids away from me? Or was he like, man, I wish I could see my kids? How was Casey feeling about his kids when all this drama before he's moved? How was Casey feeling about his kids? Okay, so Casey's between a rock and a hard place. Casey just wants everybody to get along. He just wants everybody to get along here. The problem here too is Casey's feeling, allegedly entertainment purposes, tarot card reading. Casey's feeling, you know, I've done all this work. I want to share it with my family. I should be able to say who I share my life with and all the good things, right? On one side, he's got, here's the devil card, here's the lovers. He wants to, you know, give reverence to his wife, if that's the right phrase. You know, I want to listen to my wife. I want to respect her and do what's right by her. At the same point, I'm heartbroken that I can't have my relationship with my kids, and trying to weigh options. But it's like, it is a burden to him, but I don't feel like it's a burden to him because of the children. It's a burden because of his wife here. So he's stuck in a hard place. And I guess that, you know, if your health's not doing too well, it's kind of hard to, you know, mount a battle and say, knock this shit off. So what's up when they go to the UPS store? They go to the UPS store, and Casey's there. They videotaped it, and Casey's there signing over this legal document to give his children the right to take care of his health. And for whatever reason, I don't know, it didn't get filed or however that works in the courts. But what was Casey thinking when the kids are taking him to the UPS store to sign this power of attorney? Was he like, "Wow, these meddling kids told me we were getting ice cream"? Or was he like, okay? That's the King of Pentacles. There's this idea, it looks like in his mind, that he's got a lot of coming from his wife, and he's got a lot of coming from his kids, and he's trying to make everybody happy. And in this way, he knows that his health's not in a good place, and he knows that it will decline. So he knows, like, there's an imminent end time coming at some stage here. And he's thinking this is a nice balance if they get in charge of my health and my wife's in charge of my money. Like, that's some type of balance he feels like he can strike. Not totally sure that it'll work, but it doesn't look like he was forced at the UPS store to sign a document that he didn't want to. I think he was trying to strike a balance, like, okay, let's split up, split me up. Yikes. Okay. So in May 2014, when he gets pulled out of the house in Washington, now Jean and her friends say, oh, he knew what was going on. He was comfortable. He was great. And then he has the doctor finds he has all these things wrong with him. Did Casey understand what was going on? Like, was he cognizant, alert when he's getting pulled out of that house in Washington? Was he even knowing what went on, like, from leaving his facility in the middle of the night via a black SUV up to Washington, well, Vegas to Washington? Was Casey aware of what was going on? I think he had moments of clarity and he wasn't fully with it, in and out of consciousness. So to him, he's not like distressed. He's not distressed, but he's not always conscious. So I don't think he was really with it when the shenanigans start going down in May of 2014. So let's see what the cards have to say. Was one of them, was it Jean's side was responsible? Was the kid's side responsible for the demise? If that case had played out, like, who would have been deemed responsible? Who would have been deemed responsible should that case where they filed against each other for the unlawful death of Casey, who would have been responsible? Or maybe neither. So we'll do Jean, kids. Amazing how she got the devil card again. So I'm going to surmise, if this was their battle royale, that, where is it? Jean might have been deemed responsible should that case have gone forward. We have the Queen of Pentacles, we have the Ace of Wands, we have well, Two of Pentacles. She's weighing her options, but we have the El Diablo card, which is not good intentions. And we have the Knight of Swords. She's fighting for taking care of him, but it's almost like I'm taking care of him because we have that Queen of Pentacles there, as which would be, you know, a self-sufficient woman. And over here with the kid side, we have the Seven of Pentacles and Five of Materials. Yeah, Eight of Voices. They're trying to do this quick, move him forward, and we're trying to find solutions for him. So had that gone to trial, I don't think Jean would have been in the winning position there. So there's that. Last, well, not last, second to last. Why did she bury him in Norway? Why is Casey Kasem buried in Norway? That's a weird place to go bury a American, California icon. He was living in Bel Air, for Pete's sake. So why was he buried in Norway? Whoa. I think that's, I didn't, I think we already had a sneaky snacker, and I didn't tag that. Hold on, because I recognize that card again. So let's pay our tax twice. Sneaky snacker. Tax has been paid. All right, so what do we got going on here? This is because that's where she wants to go. She wants to take him there. Allegedly entertainment purposes only, tarot card reading. What I'm seeing here is she's the star of the show. She's the mother. She had to move quick. She's working on a plan. There's this idea that I am doing this for my own, like, I don't know how, like, to put her in a power position is how this is coming across. There's some element that she's like, she's messing with them. She's doing this on purpose. She's being sneaky because there's something else she's trying to work on. And it's like leverage for future things. So I guess when she said she couldn't discuss it because there was ongoing litigation, this moving him, having him buried in Norway is leverage for whatever future plans. I don't know. She was like, well, if you want your dad, then this. Holy fuck-a-doodle-doo. All right. I want to see now, last, this is for sure last, why did they settle? Like, we didn't get the full battle royale when it seemed like for sure we were going to see something. And then all of a sudden, they settle. Both sides agreed to an undisclosed settlement. Let's see. Let's split that up again. Jean and the kids. Why did they settle? What are the reasons on each side? Imagine you put out all your dirty laundry, it's there forever, and then you just decide, let's settle. Oh my, okay. In between, all right, so she's working together. She's got the Justice card. She's got the Two of Wands, making a plan for the future. Knight of Materials, seeing that this is going to be a lot of work and feeling like this is not worth the work that it's going to take, or more so the dinero that's going to take to settle this. This is like, they're not going to be happy unless, you know, they get some ultimate thing. This is like a fucking fight. They have, they want to fight for what's right. Part of this is that they were going after her just because they hate her. And they're looking to get their share too. Okay, so then we have 7 of materials, page of voices. There's a lot of, like, this feels like there's like some, maybe both sides, there's like forensic accounting going on. We're looking in to see all the monies that are there, maybe residuals, maybe whatever, future monetization. We have the priestess, 8 of Wands. The deal's made quickly, and they both feel like they came out of this correctly. So I think this is a whole idea of practicality, not because they like each other or they're cool with each other. Kind of like they want their fair share, but they also hated her. And she's looking at the future here. I think she also might have realized that the law might not be on her side if she went through with this. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to win this. Maybe somebody told her, you're not going to win. This is not going to be good. I urge you to settle. And they kind of pushed her with it, kind of like, yeah, come on, evil stepmother. Do it. Do it. And then it became a thing. Like, it feels like there's some mediators coming in here, brokering a deal, getting it done quickly here. And just kind of like, let's just find something that works for both of us, right? Let's stop. So, yeah. Well. Oh, well, that was a draining journey, but I'm sure Casey Kasem feeling more drained, stuck over there in Norway, unless they've moved him. If they've moved him, let me know in the comments, because I'd be curious to know. With that, thanks so much for watching. Join me in the Moon Moth Manor, and I will see you next time. Adios.